All right, so here we are. Those that know me, this is me. Those that don't know me, this is me. This is me looking all cool. This is what I normally look like, just so we're clear. It's been a while since I've done anything here on my YouTube, but last night, unforeseen circumstances, we were doing a paint with Big Mama. Big Mama is me, by the way. Trying to use this inspiration picture to do just some relaxation painting. We do this quite often in a group of mine called Big Mama's House. Last night my connection was total crap, so I am recording now so that I can post it there so that it can be finished with everybody else. We were almost at the end too, like so frustrating, dude. Like so frustrating. But let's get into it. Um, those that have already painted along with this, you should be at this stage. So I know some have sent me pictures saying they went ahead and did the best they could to finish out. Cool, awesome, awesome. But for those that are waiting for this to come out, we are here now. So what we're going to be working on is this gray shade. Now I had a little bit of a Arctic blue. It's kind of hard to see on this video, but you can tell there's a difference between the white here. I had a little bit there that I was playing with last night, so I have some shading already in here. But what we're going to be working on is in a teepee, this would be where the smoke would come out because you would have a fire inside. So we're working on getting this smokied out up on top, a little bit of shading here and there. And there's little bones of, not little bones, actually, blood pools are pretty big. But to get that in there. So without further ado, I'm going to take my this is I use this one for a blending. This was one that we used earlier for the stipple shading, or not stipple shading, but like shading stuff. So I'm gonna go in. Bring this down enough, stay in frame. We're going to dip and dab like we did before with a gray color. So you want your brush to be fairly dry. Autofocus there, camera. But so what we're going to do as far as replicating this smoke here. So we're just going to go through and kind of dry brush the gray down. For those watching this that have never watched me paint before, I am in no means a professional painter whatsoever. So we do these paint together things just so that it kind of started, well, it did start with all of the pandemic stuff and people not really feeling like they had an artistic outlet, or they didn't know they needed an artistic outlet. So what I'm doing is I'm just kind of like dry brushing, bringing it down off of the top of our teepee here. So now you could do this in reverse if you wanted to. This is going to have a layer of black on top of this too, so don't feel too pressured into, again, having perfection, because we're doing this for fun. Nobody's getting paid for this. Well, I mean, I suppose we could be, but, we're just doing this to relax. The biggest importantest part, importantest, is that a word? I keep coming up with all these new words, is dry brushing. Not having a lot on your brush when you're going down. So now there's these holes in here, if you can kind of see, closer, but you can, there's these lines through here. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to, my opening my door is going to be over on this side. So I'm just going to take a dry brush up, and you want to kind of space them. Now you don't need a definite line, just enough so that it's a little bit of shading. for what you got going on. And if you feel like you get too much up in here, too dark, go ahead and dab into your white. I didn't even rinse off, I just kept it on there. And kind of go ahead and mix them together. It's important to do, if you do this step, do it while your paint is dry, because it makes it easier to blend it out. And when you're going downwards, lift up. I'm trying to keep the camera here. So lifting up, so you don't get like that happening. If you do get something like this happening where you get a little blotch here, just take your white and go right over it. No worries. So you're going to want to do this to both of your teepees. And you want your shading to kind of go down this way a little bit, but not too serious. Like I said, if it doesn't, it doesn't. It doesn't have to be. So this layer of gray is just the background here for where the flaps are and stuff with the black. So again, like I said, it doesn't have to be super perfect. So I'm getting back into my gray, dabbing it out. Dab, dip and dab. That was what we came up with the other night. So going from the top and lifting out. And again, if you're like, oh man, I got it too dark, dip into your white, dab it in a little bit. And you're just going to blend it out. And what I'm doing here too is I'm going upwards and downwards. And again, you want to have my door for my teepee is going to be over here because we're mimicking our inspo picture as best we can. So I got too dark in here, so I'm going to work some white in. So blend that out. Doesn't have to be super serial. Now I'm rinsing out. Oh wait, I have a little bit here that I want to have a little bit more of a blended feel here. Oh, see, and then I go. And this is what happens: is you make these mistakes and you start getting frustrated, which is part of what happened last night when we had this live on Facebook. The mechanical side of everything just did not want to work. I'm rinsing out my brush right now. So I said, well, let's stop because we don't want to work while we're frustrated because then it makes it not fun, and we want it to stay fun. That's why we're here, right? So I'm going to take my bigger angled brush. You can take a smaller angled brush if you want, one that's like half the size, to do the flaps in the door. The reason why you want an angled brush is you're going to be able to get a sharp edge like you would need for the door. So let's do the doors first. Oh, excuse me, since the bottom side is what is not as wet. So for this, you dip and then you kind of wipe it off on the side so that you get a thin brush line. That's what's important here. So remember how I said my doors are going to be over here? You want your door to go in between the poles here. So there's a pole here going up and there's a pole here going up. So we're just going to make a triangle that goes up and comes down. And then you're going to fill that bad boy in. Now we should put some of this blue into the doorway here. You can kind of see how they did it in our example here. It's not super necessary, but it does help with a little bit of, correct depth. Like last night when we were getting so frustrated, I would have been like, screw it, this is not happening. Now, you can see I didn't go up very far with my door. Now, who in their right mind is going to be able to make it up that way? So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to elongate it. And I always lead with the short end to go up, because that's where you're going to get your sharper edge. So see, I flip it so that my shorter edge is what's leading to get that straight line. So you dip in, wipe off your excess, which helps give you that sharp line. I'm going to go over here and do this other guy as well. So going up and coming down, staying within those two poles there. And then you fill in with your black. You don't want to do too much because you don't want crazy amounts of black on there. It's going to take forever to dry. And again, if it's not looking perfect, dude, don't sweat it. Don't sweat it whatsoever. The whole reason why we do these is practice and relaxation, just to be chill. So, chill. Okay, so now we're going to go up and we're going to do the top flap here. So teepees have these flaps that open up at the top here, and that's held by two poles on each side, which open the flaps up if you want, if you didn't have a fire going and say you want less air coming in that way, then you close it up or whatever it is if you're in a teepee. So we just need to make these, which is essentially triangles. So think about it in the shape aspect. So coming from the top here, we're going to come down along this line here, and then we're going to make a triangle out, short side and a long side. Actually, I think I need to make mine a little bit more pointed out, because in reality, it needs to be pointed out more. Not that this is a realism painting or anything, but you want it to make sense when you look at it. You don't want it to be like, is something wrong with that teepee? I don't know if I would want to stay in there. They don't know how to build. Just filling it in. Now, see how I've got up top here, I wasn't able to get a clean edge here. I'm just go in there with the long side and lay my brush down and push. And it helps to do that. So now, what we need to do is we need to leave a space in here between the other triangle, which the triangle is this one, but just flipped. So, we're going to, and they're going to meet up Leave a space and then bring it up. And this is your short side. And then your long side. And then fill it in. So see how a lot of that gray isn't there anymore? It's snowing where you are. It's crazy how our winters have changed. Oh, and see. So what's happening right there is I've got my paint underneath was not quite dry. So we're just going to let that be right now. But there's our top flaps. Okay, now we're going to go over and do samesies to this other guy. And I know it looks weird right now, but it all makes sense later. So again, we're going to go up from the top and then down. And this runs along the edge there. The brush is almost too big. So there's that one. And he's a little bit farther back, so it doesn't have to be as big and as grand as this one in the front. Because, you know, he's farther away, so he's going to be a little bit smaller. So then we do it again where we come down, leaving that space in the middle. And then we come over for our short side and then our long side. And again, my paint isn't completely dry underneath. So we're not going to sweat too much. We're just going to let it be. And there's our flaps for these guys. So moving on, what we're going to go on to now is going to be our lodge poles. And so what these are also, I guess I should have that in frame when I'm talking about it. These right here, these are sticks, and those are basically what would be like a button. They're what hold those two pieces together. And you could take them out and open it up the teepee more, especially if you're taking it down, you're going to do that. But yeah, that's what that's at. So what I'm going to use is I'm going to use my little tiny guy here, which this is a detail brush, and we're going to go in. There is stakes at the bottom, so we're going to get those guys done in real quick, and then we're going to do these guys up along there, and then get up to the top there. Move this up. I'm just going to pull some of that. So you dip into your black and you kind of get off the more of it than you don't want to have a bunch. So going down to the bottom, just think about where you would have a tent stake, and they're always angled off, so they're not straight up and down. Where you're dealing with a object that's slightly rounded, you're going to lean stakes this way on this side, and then you're going to lean them that way on the other side. And then in the middle, they're going to be more straight up and down. So these guys, this guy's a little bit straighter. This guy's starting to lean. This guy's starting to lean. This guy. Me. You're going to want to do one on this side. So then you do the same thing. This guy over here. Not as many left, obviously you don't see as much of the bottom of it. Okay. Now, the little fasteners, the wood fasteners, they're going to go one here and one here. They don't go past this line here, which is a post or a pole. One here, one here, one here, one here, all the way up. And I'm using my finger to like push onto my painting to like have some bracing spot. And you're leaving a space in the middle because these are actually two pieces of canvas that are coming together in the making of the TV. So, and you're going to go all the way up to the flaps here. Then you're going to jump on over and do the same thing to this guy over here. Starting with the door. So there's that. So now, while these are drying, I don't want to jump into this just yet. So what we're going to work on is we're going to do a little bit with our gray. If you don't have gray, you just take your white and you dip your black with your paintbrush and dip it into your white. I have gray, so I'm going to use gray. And you're going to do like a line from the tip of this to that. And I know sometimes it's hard to do a straight line. Do the best you can. And I'm going to add just a little bit of darkness on my bowl lines. Just as you don't have to do that if you don't want to. No. So if we don't like it, let's just grab it out. What I'm doing is I'm dipping into my white. And then going over that gray that I just put in. And what that's doing is that's softening up all that stuff. So it's not as stark. Now, if we were to follow along with our painting and really try to replicate it, there would be a lot of watercolor work with these acrylics, which someday we'll get there. It's definitely a little bit getting everybody used to working with acrylics, which for those that are watching this that are in my group, like, you know, we've only been doing this a few months, so it's still getting used to that idea. And just having fun and painting and not, you know, not getting too crazy. Okay, so now that most of this is fairly dry, we're going to go in and we're going to do our lodge poles on top. Turn that way so you can see it. So remember how I said these flaps, So these flaps have, I am just wiping off the white from my brush. Keeping with this detail brush. If you have one that's bigger, cool. If not, whatever. There are poles that come from either side holding these flaps. So you're going to want to go from the black and push up. And there's the pole for that one holding that flap. Now for this one, you gotta kind of imagine that your flap is up here. And then you're going to have a stick pole coming. And it's gonna run back along here. And if you see how I'm running out of paint on my paintbrush, it's totally okay. Just keep with the line and go back again. And that kind of just disappears the way that they sit behind the teepees like that. And if you don't have a straight line, like I said, we're doing this for fun. Don't be so hard on yourself. Like really, don't talk to my friend that way. I'll get mad. See how my line's all kind of winky, wobbly, whatever, jinky, whatever word you want to use. I'm not sweating it. I'm not gonna lie, like this totally throws me off having to do this because of the mess up last night. I got so frustrated, guys. So frustrated. Okay, so from up here, then you're just gonna do a bunch coming out of the top. Now remember, these poles are all coming together, so they kind of all just kind of spike out as a cone. See, I'm already... Now you want to try to keep them straight. I'm going to move to a different paintbrush because this one's just not... I'm going to my smaller, longer brush. Okay, look how they carry the paint on there. So I'm like visualizing going up this way, going up this way, going up this way from my teepee itself. Just because you have this reference. You have a lot that are coming out the top there. And like in this one, they have them a lot longer. And if you want to make yours a lot longer, totally do so. Let's go ahead, let's make them longer. And if they aren't super solid, don't sweat it. I want to say there's a certain number of poles, but I could be wrong, so I don't want to say there is. I'll have to call one of my cousins and ask. Because I've been there when they, put teepees up for, different powwows and stuff, but I've never actually done one myself. It seems like it's a failure as a native, right? But so, speaking about that, I'm one of those natives that's trying to um, really find who my people were, and because I grew up uh, what they call seven drum religion and all different kinds of stuff. Actually, I went to quite a few different churches and such, but my mom being white, that was one of the things. Is she would teach me the stuff that I would need from the white side, essentially. But my dad, love my dad to death, but I didn't get to spend enough time with him. And really, the women, because it's always the women as a woman child, like that's who gets taught, who teaches them. Trying to see if I'm liking what I'm doing here. I'm noticing that in here they have these kind of off, kind of different. Um, feel free. So there's my poll for this flat, and then my poll for this flat is going to go like so. And I see a little bit of a boo-boo. So I brought a pole too far forward and it ran into this pole here. And you kind of lose the sense of the break. So try not to do that when you're doing yours. So yeah, like I said, just trying to reclaim my nativeness, learning what I can. It makes it harder. Like there was some Nez Perce classes that I would like to have taken because I remember Nez Perce from the Longhouse, but there's only certain words that I remember. Um, but right now, with the stuff going on with my parents being sick, I just don't have the time or the energy. I feel like it needs to have the right kind of energy devoted to it. But that's why I thought, well, I'm going to paint some teepees and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. It's part of me finding some sort of connection, and there's nothing wrong before anybody gets their nose in each other about somebody who's non-native doing these paintings. I mean, really, it's just a painting. It's not some sort of weird statement. So don't feel weird while I'm talking about, me finding my native side and whatever. Don't feel excluded because, I am not white. And I feel if I don't address this idea of, this conversation, that I would be doing myself a disservice as well as you. So, and we wanted to try to keep it simple. We got a little bit crazy on this side, but that's okay. This side's a little less crazy. This is a very simplified version of this because, again, we're not crazy superhumans that can do all this coolness. Oh shoot! You know what I forgot? Oh my Lanta. I forgot to go in with some darkness. That's what's missing. So I'm going in with the softer brush that I've rinsed out and dried, and I am dry brushing it to this kind of state. Totally space it. And I'm going to do some black at the top, coming down, and just kind of, you're just bouncing off of the canvas. So what that's going to do is going to give you another depth. And I'm going to go ahead and go through here a little bit too because it will be darker through here as well. So yeah, this gives you that little bit of depth of darkness. Um, Not darkness like as in dark side, but you know, the smoke that would have been at the top of these would have, been something anybody who's ever had a fireplace can, totally agree with. That soot and stuff gets everywhere. So what I'm doing is I'm going along the top. Imagine where your smoke would be coming out of these two flaps here. And so you want to kind of the area around them. And I'm going down the seam a little bit just because I feel like that would be there too. And dry, like you want to keep your brush at that dry brush stage while you're doing this. And just pat it down. Now I've got a lot of paint right here, so I'm gonna go ahead and I'm just gonna steal from this. Get the top done. And I'm not going down very far. So I'm just staying up in this top part here. Again, visualize if you had a fire inside of here and the smoke's coming out the top, where that would be at. What would it look like? Where would you find soot? I'm kind of brushing down a little bit down my pole lines. Just a little bit, not a lot. I almost forgot that step. I think I'm anxious to get this done because like I was so upset last night that everything got all screwy and we couldn't finish it. So, which that's my crappy internet. And all that jazz. All that jazz. Chicago. Anybody else watch that show? Movie? Sorry. Well, it was a show before it was. So yeah, see how we've got that little bit of smokiness through here. Oh, that was too much. Okay, so if it's too much, dry brush it out as best you can. But in reality, it's just going to add to it. It's just going to give it some extraness. Now, if one wants to, you could paint stuff on the side of this. I don't know what I would paint on there. Let's do, you know what? Because it is something that is big for me. And I didn't say for us to get this color out in our original, but I'm going to do some red handprints because MMIW with having a cousin who was murdered this last year in Las Vegas. It was a pretty big deal. Like it's hard in traditional ways because traditional ways you don't speak of them for a year while you're in mourning. But where it's a murder, it's complicated. We want her murderer to be found, but it's yeah. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do some little red handprints. You could do little horses, you could do zigzags, you could do look up some different designs that you think are appealing to you. Um, so yeah, and a thumb, a pointer finger, middle finger, And for the palm, we're just going to go in. The palm has the meaty top part, and then it has the ball of your palm or base right here. So I'm going to continue on with, you know, you can do paw prints. Some people have like affiliation with clans and such. Um, and I'm going to keep it with my right hand being the one that's doing these palm prints because I don't want it to be a right and a left because then it's going to look kind of, it'll take it to a whole nother meeting. It'll look like a murder scene. We don't want that. I mean, making enough of a statement with the MMIW, but then you don't want to take away from that statement by, you know, giving it a gore factor. So hopefully you guys got all of your painting finished the way that you want it. If it's not the way you want it, those of you in Big Mama's house, send me a message and be like, hey, yo, how can I fix this? It looks jacked, or, you know, whatever. Just get a hold of me and we'll figure it out. So with my hands, I'm doing staggered, lower, higher, lower, higher. And I think for the other one, I'm going to do the red dress, kind of. So the red dress signifies those that have been murdered and missing, just as the red handprint and stuff. You know, it's all red. The blood of the innocent, essentially. So let's see. I should do it like wing dress style. I think I am going to do an MMIW uh, painting that we can all do together. Because yes, it's, you know, murdered and missing Indigenous women, but it stretches so much farther than that. I mean, it's important as a woman, as a human, um, to really care about this stuff because it's, you know, treatment of human beings and how they go unseen with so many different wrongs in the world when it comes to this stuff. So I don't think it's just one culture's problem. I think it's everybody. So the red dress always means it represents. I have to get clarification on this because I don't want to say too much because I'll probably mess up. But it represents the woman who's not here. She's missing. And I'm gonna go back with some white. I'm gonna put little shells on it. I'm trying to think of what else I can do. But yeah, I mean, if you're doing little designs on your TV, cool. If not, cool. Um, it's just something to relax to. Something, that we can all do together. I think that's important, doing stuff together. And I'm just going and dipping into my white and putting some white dots, or what I'm envisioning as shells. Light border at the bottom. There we go. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to write the M and my W above this handprint here. Da-da-da. There we go. But yeah, I mean, that's how close we were to being finished last night, and we totally, because my internet is crap. Let me see if I can up and down a little bit without showing you too much craziness that goes on, like comic books over here. So there's our sunset top coming down to our bushes and our teepee. Again, I like to edge in black. I paint black all the way around, just so that way if you want to hang it up, it's good to go. Don't forget to sign your work. Um, the next one we'll be doing will be the snow owl, which is this guy. This one's gonna be a lot of fun because it's a lot of, really fun brush strokes to do. So, um, anyway, I thank you guys for coming and hanging out. Like, I'm sorry again. I apologize for my stupid internet to be stupid. If that. um, so, um, but yeah, it was fun to paint this one. Um, like I said, I gave this one a little bit of a personal touch. This one's for Cammy Eye. Maybe we should do one because her last name is Bird, and so it was Cammy Eye Bird, and it's always a purple hummingbird. So maybe we can paint one of those. It would be cool. But anyway, that's too serious. We're keeping this light and fun. I'm glad you guys showed up. And with that, I'm going to end this here because it's already taken way too freaking long for this painting to be done. So have a good day and stay safe.